Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are on this fine planet. This is Paranoia back at you. Um, so today I'm going to do another video review. I've been on a roll with the video reviews. I have other, you know, planned series to continue. They will be up soon. I'm going to do more of the snapshots of Peter Pan Africanism. I'm going to start another series based on hip hop, and that's how I plan to do my channel. So I can set up playlists, do certain like themes. That's what I thought I'd do. Let me know what you think of that in the comments section. I don't know, but today I'm going to review the Dessalines guy again. I watched his video. He's a funny kid, man. This kid is funny. He's really funny. He reminds me, not that he reminds me, but I suspect like he's the son or little brother of the Brooklyn kids I used to hang out with. He's the equivalent of that. Like he's like their little brother or son. He's a little piss ant that pretty much brought about the need for ADOS and FBA. He is the epitome of why there was a need for both movements creation. Because everything he says just lets me know, like, man, like, okay, let me go back to my comparison. So I said he's like the child or little brother of the people I hung out with in New York, particularly Brooklyn. And some of Queens, too. I used to hang out in Queens a little bit. But he lets me know, like, all of that kumbaya stuff that we went through in the 90s, the little, compromises we made in the 90s with Caribbeans was really all for naught. It didn't mean shit because it shows in their children's behavior. So while we thought the beef was chill and cooling off and all this other shit, or, we thought the beef cooled off and we all, came to our senses. No, behind closed doors, they were still telling their kids the bullshit they were telling us that we thought they would stop. Like, this is all hypothetical, but that's what I theorize. He is a representation of what we thought would end. We thought if we stopped calling them coconuts, if we and they stopped calling us Yankees, that was a fair exchange. And because I don't hear that in New York anymore. Not like back in the days. I haven't heard Yankee like just fly out someone's mouth. I don't think at all since I've been back home. I've heard it like in close quarters with people that they know what I am and I'm around. They know, I don't take it personal. But I do give them an eye. But that's neither here nor there. But while we thought they were, controlling themselves and behaving themselves, the way he behaves or the way he speaks lets me know it was all an act. It wasn't sincere because their children are acting out who they were to us and what we thought they would cut back on, if that makes any sense. But, we're going to start with the obligatory fair use clause. If he ever runs across this is really just for educational purposes. I make no money off this shit. Nobody sends me a Cashapp worth shit. And I just put that shit there for shits and giggles to see what happens. I don't turn down shit but my collar, partner. But that's neither here nor there. So we're going to start out with the fair use. Then we're going to go to what I found interesting. It's his latest video, And in this video, he really represents what I would hear out of their mouths all the damn time. Like, all the time in Brooklyn, particularly Brooklyn. Queens, they behave themselves. I mean, they really behaved themselves in Queens. They would let it slip out here and there. But in Queens at that time, there were more Black Americans, there, compared to them. The ratio was much greater on our end, So for every Black American, for every Caribbean, there was like maybe 5 to 6 Black Americans. Today, you probably have a 3 to a 3-to-1 difference. But in Brooklyn, it was the opposite at one point. It became like for every fucking Black American, there's 5 or 6 Caribbeans and shit, and they behaved themselves in Harlem too. Harlem, we were the majority there, the vast majority in Harlem at the time. Honestly, I believe we're still the majority in Harlem. It's just that, Harlem is not what it used to be. It's gentrified, for one. For two, the Black Americans there are just trying to stay afloat and do what they have to do. They're, all that Cameron fantasy rap days really made made a lot of them, snap out of it and get back to the program, not to get too tangential, but like Black Rob's death is a representation of them snapping out. Like, stop drinking all the fucking time out there at the park while the kids play drinking. You don't see that as much, as that time, like, the whole Rucker days and shit like that. Because Rucker is just one of the many parks in Harlem. But that's neither here nor there, man. Damn, I throw myself off. But that's neither here nor there. So let's get to this video, because like I said, he represents what we thought would stop in New York or among Black immigrants, period. But here we go. So the title of this video is Tariq versus Austin Hollerman, Passport Bros Go to Africa. The irony, my favorite word, the irony of this title is what I wanted you guys to vote on in my poll on in my community section, because this came out 18 hours ago. Okay, I'm doing this real quick, and I had one of the options was to detail how the manosphere. Let me read it. Oh, how the Black manosphere will morph into Pan-African Babel. And here we go. Like I said in my other video, God always leads you in the right direction. No matter what you decide, he leads you in the right direction. If you believe in God. Some people believe in fate, destiny. I believe in God. So that's me. I'm not trying to bog you down with, dogma. But ironically, he made this video and I already knew they were going to go this route. I knew it. And what he says in this video is the spiel. I knew they would run on motherfuckers. I knew they would. For some reason, I don't know why. I think I know why I knew they would go this route. It's because it's like, even though these manosphere guys complain about, Black women in America and all that other shit, right? They're still attracted to Black women. I mean, Black women are very attractive. Come on. So where can you find the most Black women in the world? Fucking Africa. You know what I'm saying? Africa is like, that's common sense, Of course you're gonna go to Africa if you like Black women. There most likely 500 million Black women there. Shit. And some of them have some of the juiciest meats and delectable treats on earth. We see it online. We see them. But hey, man, all that glitters is not gold. And we're going to get into that. That's what we're going to get into, because this guy really just ran his mouth, and I just want to cover him. And if he ever hears this, man, holla at me, man. I would like to have a good exchange with you, like a civil conversation. Because I know that, like, who I think you are, not personally or exactly, you're a representation of the little kids I saw hanging out, watching us smoke a blunt, playing CeeLo and shit, or at Juve drinking and shit. You're that little kid, that we thought was funny, because you're a funny little fucker. I can't even lie, man. But let's start, man. And I'm gonna stop and go. You already know how this goes, but here we go.
Different.
All right, we back. Now, one thing I love that Austin touched on was the programming and the propaganda that is forced down our throats since we are young children, sitting up in the classroom. And I speak about this on my channel. I speak about the Eurocentric narrative of history, the Eurocentric worldview that is promoted in the media. I speak about this frequently on my channel, and it has a massive effect on us mentally. If you ain't properly protected by your family, if you don't got, listen, it's very easy to get sucked down into the BS. And you wonder why someone like Tariq Nasheed is able to gain a following, because since we are young children, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, those seeds of anti-blackness are already planted in our minds from the classroom, the textbooks, the history books, the news, the media, everything around us. The culture of America is inherently anti-black. So much so that anytime a black man comes around preaching black empowerment and really wielding a massive amount of influence over the people, they look at him as a threat to national security. The culture.
Okay, we're gonna pause there. And the title of this video is Paranoia Check for a reason. That's just full of paranoia. Like I said, he represents the little brother or the son of the motherfuckers I hung out with. And a lot of times they would be overly paranoid and shit. Maybe for good reason. Who knows? Because behind every conspiracy theorist is a motherfucker who was right at some time. Not all the time. A lot of that shit, you're off. But he represents that paranoia I saw. In my experience, of course, I grew up at a time where we still had Tarzan on TV. So, yes, there were certain depictions that were deliberately put out there to make us think, negatively of Africa. But even as a child, if you had any type of common fucking sense, you knew Tarzan was some bullshit. Because for me, I grew up, in an area where you saw no white people. I grew up in a part of Brooklyn, Rockaway and Linden. You know what I'm saying? It's right on the borderline of Canarsie, technically. But there were no white people necessarily, and just growing up in that environment, I knew like Tarzan could never exist as a minority in a black majority country and run shit. Like he could live there, but he can't run shit. That's numerically impossible. He's not Jesus. Like him swinging from a fucking vine, really. Come on, stop it, man. So to get back to my point, yes, we had certain depictions, but we had the common sense to know by that time this is bullshit. The only thing I will say is he's right about the depiction of Africa in the news. I don't even know if he stated it, but from in my experience, it was the news who really try to cement my thoughts when it comes to Africa. Like all of the civil wars in Africa. Like when I was coming up, of course, we had Rwanda. I think I was just a little kid and they was re-airing the whole Nigeria Civil War. They would replay, or not replay, but like say you watch 60 Minutes. So years later, they do a reflection piece. So you would see that stuff. So that did give reason for pause. But then after that, I moved to California as a young kid, and I started to meet these people from there. Some of them were refugees, and they weren't violent. They were regular people. And some of them I didn't even know were African because they looked like me due to their African parent getting with a white lady. They'll look like me. I didn't know until I met their parents, or until I met their mother. If I met their mother, I'll figure out, oh, he's like, most likely a African. And then, I would know. But other than that, they would have to tell me, or if I saw their paperwork. So if their father's African, they have an African name, unless they were from like Sierra Leone or Liberia or Ghana. Those countries, sometimes they have anglicized last names. That's just what it is. And when I met them, that totally changed my perception of everything I saw in the news. So what he's saying is a half truth. It's a truth for him in this Caribbean bubble, because that's what he grew up in. That's one thing about New York, period. Not to, you know, shift or transition sloppily. But in New York, they exist in this black immigrant bubble, not just Caribbean, but a black immigrant bubble. And it's like an echo chamber, and they repeat the same shit, and everybody believes the same shit. And they never have a chance to challenge their belief. And even once they leave that bubble, what they believe and think has been so cemented that they can't outgrow it. And I honestly think, like, to go back to how I moved to California and I met actual Africans, I moved out there young enough to have an open mind and to, you know, gain some new knowledge so I can adjust my perception. Whereas when these motherfuckers grow up in this black immigrant bubble, if they've been here for a long time, even when they leave this bubble, they're still stuck in their mindset. Like they're not open to a different understanding. And in this video, I will show you what I mean by giving you key examples of how, like, you know, this is, you know, what he's saying is not right. It's just stupid, you know. But let's continue. And I paused it to say, ultimately, what he's saying is bullshit. We're not brainwashed to hate Africa. Those days were done in the 80s. That shit is done, son. That's not the truth. And what's so ironic is he says that shit, but there are people that I know online who've actually, like, when I've gotten to discussions about ADOS with a friend or something on their posts, specifically on Facebook, they'll have African name, but I know this nigga. This nigga's name, is African, but I know this nigga is Black American. So that the gone are the days can they use this little spiel to say, like, we're trained to hate Africans, because that's another mind game they use to make it seem like any mistreatment they have against us is justified because we've been conditioned to hate them. It's a mind fuck. It's just a mind game. But that's not true. And that goes for even a lot of Black people in the South. And you could see that in the South. Like, there's this one girl called Ayana something. I know her first name is Ayana. I forgot. It's Ayana Goddess. And she's straight out of the South. She's from Alabama. If you know who she is, you know who she is. She's light skin as fuck, nappy hair, skinny as fuck, and she's from the South, and she's a Pan-Africanist like a motherfucker. So it's not just, I can't say it's just, you know, a long time ago, I would say, oh, in New York and in California, yeah, it is that Pan-Africanism is strong. No, that shit is all over in Black America. So that little hustle they run, like we've been trained to hate Africa, that's a lie. But let's continue. I'll shorten up my little spiels. Excuse me.
And foundation of the nation was founded on anti-Black sentiment, anti-African sentiment, and that same sentiment has penetrated every sector of society. And I didn't play the clip here, but if you go to Austin's video, in the beginning, you see him in a taxi cab. He's looking around. He got the camera on a crowd of Black people, and he's scared to walk amongst them because he thinks, man, it must not be safe here. Meanwhile, it's a bunch of people moving around, just going about their day, going to work, going to the market, just minding their business. But because that programming is in his mind, he thinks, man, a crowd of Black people, man, I might get robbed. I might get robbed here at the market. Like, bro, come on, man, it ain't even that. But that seed of anti-Blackness was planted into him, just like it was planted in the rest of us. The only difference is Austin took the initiative to go see for himself. Yeah, they planted the propaganda in my head, but let me go see.
Okay, we're going to pause it there, right? And let's deal with Austin Hollerman. You know, let's deal with who he is, okay? I don't know the gentleman. Shout out to him wherever he is on this fine planet. But let's deal with who he is, really. So let's deal with him for 2 hot seconds, you know, 2 hot seconds. And 2 hot seconds. Damn. Let me see if I can get to it real quick. So he says Austin Hollerman was scared to be around a lot of Black people, right? Well, let's deal with Austin Hollerman. You know, Austin Hollerman, as we all know, is a passport bro. I found his LinkedIn. It looks like he's originally from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And he went to Texas A&M University for Commerce. Or no, that's a title. Texas A&M University Commerce. I assume that's one of the campuses, just like another state, any other state system or state institution in America. And okay, yeah, let's see, Mid City. I'm just trying to see if I'm correct. Damn, I don't want to sign in. Damn, where's this shit? Okay, so he went to Barber College, but damn, I can't look that up. But bottom line is he's from Texas. So let's just accept that as a fact, because a lot of times when people go to a state institution, they're from the state. You're not going to go out of state necessarily for a state institution. He's from Texas, and he's from Dallas. And if you know anything about Dallas, I was just talking to a friend from Dallas this morning. And yeah, Dallas is a good city. That's a nice city. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You know what I'm saying? And Dallas has one of the areas with the highest concentration of Black wealth. You know, it's similar to like a concentration in PG County or Ladera Heights in California or Queens, certain parts of Queens, New York. You know, so when he says he was scared of seeing Black people, a group of Black people, how do I not know that's not due to his classism? Maybe he's been trained to be scared of motherfuckers. He's a little sucker. Who knows? I know when I see a group of niggas, I don't get scared. Not necessarily. It all depends on the group of niggas. You know, if I see a bunch of niggas with hoodies and masks or shit like that, of course, I'm going to go, hey, what's going on here? But he didn't see a group of Black people in Africa with hoodies and masks, most likely. It's hot as fuck. Why would you wear a hoodie? Okay? And there's other garments or regalia that would alert me to danger if I saw a group of Black people. Like, you know, let's run it down. A pair of raggedy sneakers, overly baggy jeans, sometimes too tight these days for these new thugs. Hoodie, dreads maybe, look a little worse for wear. They look kind of like worn out. Yeah, but if you're talking about your everyday motherfucker, like the group of Africans Austin saw in Africa, I guarantee at least one of them had a pair of sandals on. Okay, if I see a group of motherfuckers in sandals, no motherfucker, I don't think they're gonna hurt me. But if I see a group of regular Black people, I don't get scared. So this nigga, this may be a scary ass nigga. That's what it is. You're just a scary ass nigga. It has nothing to do with you being conditioned to fear Black people. And for this idiot, going back, let's deal with Dessalines saying this shit. Like, we've been conditioned. How the fuck can he fix his mouth to say that shit if they have Juve in Brooklyn and he's Haitian? If they have Juve in Brooklyn every year and you see crowds of Black people, crowds, and I don't know if they do it today as much as they did it a long time ago, because I don't even fuck with Labor Day as much in Juve. But a long time ago, they were, and they have dead end streets in Flatbush in which they turn into like a little block party, and they have a stage, and motherfuckers used to light up fucking their lighter with some type of flammable spray, and you go, boo, and all that shit, and you dance, and the girl whine on you and shit. Now that I'm thinking about it, who has seen that Chance the Rapper video of the girl whining on his on his Johnson? They do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And Chance the Rapper really wasn't supposed to slap her butt. And if you look at the end of the video, she rolls her eyes because that's like Chance is Black American, so he doesn't know any better. You're not supposed to slap her butt. You're not supposed to touch her. You're just supposed to enjoy the wine and let her do her thing. You actually disrespected her. But that shit, you know what I'm saying? So for this dumb nigga Dessalines to say when he sees a group of black people, he's been conditioned to fear them. It's like, what did you stay in the house, homie? What happened with you? Why are you scared of a group of black people? I know I wasn't scared of a group of black people at Juve. The only time I got scared if you hear a car backfire. And back in those days, you'll hear that shit because, you know, motherfuckers had raggedy ass cars and shit. And this before they, you know, they required smog checks and shit. But yeah, so to go back to Austin Hollerman, he may say that shit because he's a fucking silver spoon motherfucker. Of course he's scared of motherfucking groups of niggas. Because if he goes to the hood in Dallas, which is not, I mean, I went to the hood and it's not that hood, you know, it's not like Houston. But if he goes there, they'll be able to sniff out that this nigga's not from here and we could get him. That's why he's scared. It's not because he's been conditioned, okay? This motherfucker is probably from DeSoto, Texas. You know, that's how he's able to travel the world, you know, coochie popping bitches and shit and having fun and shit. But yeah, let's get back to this video, man. Let me stop this shit. But yeah, I just had to deal with Austin Hollerman because I knew they would eventually go to this whole Pan-Africanist shit, you know, in the manosphere, you know, and I also knew that because of Green Gorilla. Like when I first stumbled across Green Gorilla, I saw his logo, you know, I just thought he used the red, black, and green as a motif, as just a design. But no, he's a staunch Pan-Africanist. So, you know, that's what he's into. And I, you know, and whenever I've encountered those guys and I broached the topic of ADOS or FBA, whatever you want to call it, just Black American issues, they all get standoffish. And that's because a lot of them are Black immigrants, for one. For two, a lot of them are Pan-Africanists. You could tell. Like one of the guys, I think his name is Ron Neal. Excuse me, Ronald O'Neal or Ron Neal. One of the two. This nigga posted some shit about I'm not gonna look for it. I don't feel like looking for it, but he posted some shit about being happy to be back in Africa, you know, because I think he was a professor, so now he's retired and now he's in Africa. So I knew they were going this route, but let's continue.
See for myself. He took that extra step that many of us do not even make. Many of us get bombarded and we get those seeds planted in our minds and we don't ever do anything about it. And so many of us get sucked into these anti-Black ideologies that Tariq Nasheed pushes out because we already are working with some confirmation bias. We already got some anti-Black confirmation bias going on. So when Tariq Nasheed comes along pushing that bullshit, many of us, it's very easy to get sucked into the nonsense and be like, yeah, man, F them Africans, F them Caribbeans, F Black people over there. Yeah, because guess what? You already got that seed of anti-Blackness already planted in you.
No, we don't have a seed of anti-Blackness planted in us. I already covered that. That's long gone. Those days are done. When you guys came here, we welcomed you with open arms for the most part. So no. And a lot of times we sponsored a lot of you guys to come here. And then once you got your feet on the ground and you were able to establish something, then you did the chain migration with your cousins and your sister, and then they brought their husbands and their wives. So stop it. No, it was no, we're not conditioned by anyone. No one listens to Tariq that way. He's pure. Tariq to me is really like liberation entertainment. Like he is the equivalent of the blaxploitation movies of the 70s because they created those movies to calm us down, to make it seem like we're socking it or giving it to the man, you know. Like all of those movies, that was the main theme, and that was really a form of entertainment to pretty much calm us, you know, to pacify us. So no one listens. Shut the fuck up. If you ever hear this, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna tag you too. So my invitation is open. Come holler at your boy. Shut the fuck up with that shit, because a lot of times when these Caribbeans, particularly Caribbeans, do this shit, what they're doing is they're projecting because they want us to feel like we're lost because they feel lost. That's why they cosplay Black Americans. And that's why they always trying to find themselves, because on their islands, their culture doesn't translate everywhere like our culture. So He's really projecting. And then when they come across, and this is what I've seen in New York too, the irony. And you know, I'll tell you my feelings on it in hindsight after I tell you. I've seen conflicts between Caribbeans and Africans in the workplace. You know, I've seen it. You know, they told me, and when I first came back, I tried to do what I did back in the days with Black Americans and Black immigrants, which is play like a referee. You know, play a liaison. You know, now honestly, I took the African side because the Caribbeans were using all of those tactics that are unhealthy, like, you know, calling them names, mistreating them, making it seem like they smell and all this other shit. And I was telling them, you know, that's not right. But in hindsight, I probably should have sided with the Caribbeans because those are my cousins. And, you know, I don't know. I still don't know who I should. I just know that with all this Pan-African babble he's running, there is some deep, like there's confusion there in terms of their like or love of Africans personally. Like they like the notion of Pan-Africanism, but whenever they come across it, there's a conflict there. And I know this personally too, because my father, you know, we got into a discussion about it, and he told me he had some issue with a dude on the corner, a little vendor guy, but then he said we worked it out because my father used to sell what's that shit called? Nollywood movies. Here we go. And I think the guy was holding out on Nollywood movies, like the newest editions and shit, because it's like, you know, my father wasn't selling the CDs right there at the same spot as the guy, but that guy was like, I'm not going to help you at all. Why should I help you? You know what I'm saying? But my father said he worked it out. So that conflict does exist there. So he's really projecting. That's what he's doing. And if he ever hears this, he knows it's true. I could go to Harlem right now, and an African, if you see an African and Caribbean communicating, you could feel the tension each time. And a lot of times you can feel the tension between the two different Caribbeans, like two different, like not you can't really, not as much now, but back in the days you could feel that tension between Caribbeans, like especially between Haitians and Jamaicans, or Jamaicans and Trinidadians. Now the Nevas and St. Kitts or the St. Lucia motherfuckers, all those off-brand, you know, small islands, they just were like neutral. In fact, a lot of them sounded more like us than them, so they really were like, that's none of my business. But let's continue, man. Stop projecting, you little fucker. That's my main point in pausing. Stop projecting what you feel on us, because we love Africans. We created Pan-Africanism. Shut the fuck up.
Was just waiting for somebody to activate it. That's why when I made that video a long time ago entitled The Connection Between Tariq Nasheed and Just Pearly Things, I examined the various talking points that Nick Fuentes pushes out. As we all know, Nick Fuentes, the self-proclaimed white supremacist, and the talking points that Tariq Nasheed pushes out. And when I lined them up together, you notice there was no difference. There was no difference because it's coming from the same place. It's coming from the same source of anti-blackness.
Okay, if you're gonna say you lined up points and there's no difference, then present that on the screen, motherfucker. Don't just say the shit. Why should I believe your ass? And this is not in defense of Tariq, but if you're gonna make a claim that, you know, by proxy of Tariq's love of his people and the creation of the FBA movement, that the FBA movement is pretty much a white supremacist, you know, puppet, then you need to present that to us. Don't just run your fucking mouth. Just because you say something fast doesn't make it real. And that's another thing about you little New York you new New York motherfuckers. You motherfuckers think since you talk fast that you're right. No, motherfucker. Either present the proof for me to read myself or shut the fuck up. Don't use the point. Present it, and no, first make your point and then present proof of your point. Or at least speak in a way where, you know, I'm not even gonna tell you the ways to communicate. You communicate how you want to communicate, but don't make that fucking broad brush assumption or whatever the fuck you're doing, because unless you present it to me, shut the fuck up.
And one thing black people like to do, we like to act like the United States is two different nations. Like there's white America and there's black America. Motherfucker, we sitting in the same classrooms, watching the same TV shows, in the same neighborhoods, integrated amongst the same societies. We are all influenced by the same propaganda and the same messaging that is pushed down all of our throats collectively.
Okay, let me pause it right there. Again, this lets me know he's the child of the little fuckers I hung out with back in the days. He said he's in the same classroom as white people. He's in the same whatever school. That means this motherfucker lives in a white area. He doesn't even live in Brooklyn. He doesn't even live in New York. And if he lives in New York, he lives in Long Island or Westchester, a little up north from New York. You know, because if he's in Brooklyn, he's not in the same classes as white people unless he lives in Sheepshead Bay or fucking Bensonhurst and shit. Okay. So this lets me know, like, this is his life. This is what he feels. Okay. And this comes from his household where they don't teach you about your history, most likely, because a lot of Caribbeans didn't know shit. All they know is Marcus Garvey, and they stop there. They don't know CLR James. And then they rattle off the dude Schomburg every now and then just to prove a point, like, oh, a black immigrant created a library to a collection of scholars. He didn't write the books, but he collected them. But other than that, they don't know a lot. They just don't. One day I may just do a word on the street and just run up to random Caribbeans and ask them Black scholars do they remember, or what's the last Black scholarly book they've read. So this lets me know he's speaking from a very isolated space.
Same messaging that is sent to the white kid that gives him that sense of superiority when he opens the history textbooks and he sees Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Napoleon Bonaparte, the Greeks and the Romans. Guess what? The young black kid, he's reading that same textbook, and all of his history is written out of the textbook. And the same messaging and propaganda that gives the white kid that sense of superiority and supremacy is the same messaging and propaganda that gives the black kid that sense of inferiority and self-hatred. Because, like,
okay, again, you're projecting. Look here. My mother kept like these little cards of African kings that she had in her dresser drawer, and she would make us read them. They were like little cue cards. I can't even really explain them, but they have pictures, Of course, the motherfucker had a lion fucking throw over, you know what I'm saying? Like the motherfucker from Coming to America. And, motherfucker had a fucking spear on a throne and shit. His fade was tight. You know what I'm saying? And my mother used to make us read that shit. And then she would take us to the Schomburg. She would take us to the library. So don't blame us or don't project your parents' lack of care, because them have to work, man. They work their hours at the nursing home and the hospital, changing bedpans. Just because they ain't have time to teach you and show you doesn't mean our elders didn't teach us and show us. Again, we created Pan-Africanism, okay? So, no, we don't sit up here and read about Napoleon Bonaparte and then we feel inferior. No, I was taught Napoleon couldn't beat the Haitians. That's what I was taught. So if you're Haitian, why wasn't you taught that shit? So why are you crying about some shit that where your elders already gave you the information to offset that shit? In fact, I'll tell you right now, I most likely would have got straight A's in middle school had I not used the shit that I was taught in my papers. Because I would literally just show, bring outside sources for my paper and go, oh, no, this really happened. And then motherfucker would say, prove it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll show them the book. And the teacher would say that doesn't qualify because it's not in our library. Where did you get this book? But bottom line, don't blame us for your parents failing, okay? Shut the fuck up.
Like I said, America has a culture of anti-blackness, anti-Africanness, and we are all learning from the same curriculum, and we are all consuming the same media and the same propaganda and the same messaging. There is no white America, black America separation. It is one nation, the United States of America, and we are citizens of this nation. And I really appreciate.
No, there are two nations. Just like there's a Chinatown and there's a financial district. And I say this specifically based on my experience in California. There are Asian people who grow up in purely Asian environments. So that's a nation within a nation. And for him as a Caribbean, of course, he doesn't know this because he lives in some type of suburb, most likely, since he goes to school with white people. If you go to Brooklyn if you go to the North Bronx, that's a Caribbean majority area. Okay. So there's no way you should feel like you're isolated or you're cut off from your culture. There's no way. Let's rewind that. Hold on.
See, is the same messaging and propaganda that gives the.
Okay. The same messaging and propaganda, right? Where do you like if you grew up in these environments I'm talking about where you're the majority? The messaging and propaganda should have a very minimal effect on you because wherever, like, if you go to the North Bronx, that is a Caribbean nation unto itself. Like, it's a nation within a nation. It's separate. Like, let's use the North Bronx compared to a section of the Bronx called Riverdale. And Riverdale is in the Bronx, but it actually has its own city name, even though it's in the Bronx. Riverdale is white, the white part of the Bronx. Okay, that's a separate part. And then the North Bronx is separate from Riverdale. Those are two different. That's a black and white difference. So what he's saying is not true. He's just saying some shit because that's what he was taught most likely by his Caribbean parents. Like, you came here to America, you were born here, so that means you're an American citizen just like any other American citizen, which is right technically when you talk about the laws and the Constitution. But if you're talking about in real life, no, there are two different Americas. That's why we get higher interest rates on our loans. That's why when we sell our homes, they're underappreciated or undervalued when we try to sell it, because those are two different Americas. And that's the reason why a lot of black people in the 80s wanted to move to the suburbs so they can experience the white life, because the white life has its benefits, its huge economic benefits. So shut the fuck up.
Black kid, that sense of inferiority and self-hatred. Because like I said, America has a culture of anti-blackness, anti-Africanness, and we are all learning from the same curriculum, and we are all consuming the same media and the same propaganda and the same messaging. There is no white America, black America separation. It is one nation, the United States of America, and we are citizens of this nation. And I really appreciate Austin for being so honest about it, bro, because even he was able to recognize it. And in my opinion, apart from actually putting boots on the ground and going to see for yourself like he did, the best way to undo this programming or to avoid this programming from taking root is to simply be knowledgeable about your history. Have an interest in learning about your history, understanding who you are as a black man or black woman. Because if you leave it up to society, they're going to tell you that you weren't shit and you didn't come from shit and you ain't worth shit. But when you have a true, authentic, and deep understanding of who you are as a black man or black woman, a true understanding of your history and your origins, nothing that anybody will ever tell you can really make you feel inferior to anybody.
Bingo. That's essentially what I'm saying. So why are you sitting up here projecting that inferiority complex on black Americans? Because when you say black, you mean black Americans. Let's be honest. You know, you're only black on paperwork. Okay. So if we have all of this knowledge, then we have something to offset what's been propagandized to our people. So why even speak as if we have this anti-black, anti-African feeling? Because we don't. You're projecting what you feel in your own fucking culture, okay?
You'll feel empowered enough to conquer the world and go out and do anything you want. You'll feel unstoppable. And not only that, you'll have a camaraderie. You'll have a built-in love and admiration for black people all over the world, especially when you have an understanding of their history as well. You'll realize the connection that we all share, the common enemies that we all share, the similar hardships that we all share, the similar position that we all share. And those of us in the diaspora, we have a special blessing because we aren't tied down to any one group in the diaspora, in the continent, I mean. You see, in the continent, they're going to come from they tribe, they nation, they ethnic group. But us, we got so many ethnic groups all up in our bloodstream, bro. So we're not connected to just one. We're not just connected to the Mandinka. We're not just connected to the Wolof. You know what I mean? We got all of it going on, bro. We connected to all them cultures. So when I study the history of the Ashanti, I'm like, man, that's me. When I studied the history of the Fulani, I'm like, man, that's me. When I studied the history of the Mandinka, I'm like, man, that's me. When I studied the history of the Fawn, I'm like, man, that's me. When I studied the history of the Congo people, I'm like, man, that's me. Because I got all that running through my bloodstream. And even the brothers in East Africa, even though we're a little more distant from them genetically, but they still are brothers too. Yeah, we share a deep connection with our brothers on the west coast of Africa, but we also share a connection in terms of our origins with our brothers on the east coast of Africa. And big up to the brothers on the south side of Africa. We ain't forget about y'all too, man. Big up to my brothers, man. But yeah, in my opinion, this goes to show, listen, Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black, all that propaganda you pushing, we ain't listening to you bum ass fuck niggas. Listen, the young niggas like myself, the young brothers like myself, we are not listening to you old hair, gray hair follicle motherfuckers. We're not listening to none of y'all. So keep yapping and babbling from your motherfucking basement, nigga. We gonna be traveling the world, counting up this check, spending this check, doing our thing, meeting beautiful women all over the goddamn world, beautiful black women. I'm not with them brothers in Asia and Thailand. I don't know nothing.
There we go. That's why I said I wanted to do a video on how the manosphere will morph into Pan-African babble, because that's everything he just said. All that Mandinka, study of Fulani, and all that other shit. I knew they were going to go this route. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? And then, for him to say like nobody play, like no young people essentially pay attention to the FBA ADOS movement, whatever Freeman movement or whatever. That's bullshit. There are little kids out here learning this shit. Like they are picking up on it. They're not slow, especially if you're talking about the majority of Black Americans in the South. In the South, these little fuckers are learning this shit. And so that's not true. If you're talking about like people like Austin Hollerman, who's out here coochie chasing, and maybe a lot of these older millennials, they're in their 30s and shit. Yeah, maybe that's not their interest, but trust and believe. Once they hit around 40 and they've already run their dick game long enough, they'll realize, yes, where the fuck is my warehouse? Where the fuck is my storefront? Where the fuck is my economic foundation? Oh, it's because, it's because I've been out here chasing pussy, raggedy ass pussy on the continent, and these motherfuckers came over here and swooped up everything. They leached and siphoned off everything. Like that's a joke, but it's a hypothetical because that could be the case, But yeah, no, that's bullshit. Younger people are picking up on this shit. And I even think a lot of these older millennials are picking up on that shit because a lot of people who call into Yvette's show are like older millennials. They're like 31, 32, some 35, 36. So that's not true.
Nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about that. Listen, we gonna be doing our thing, bro. We doing our thing. We international with it. We international. You a local joker. You're a regional buster. But the young brothers getting money. I think Austin getting money because he in a different country every month. You got to be getting some money. But yeah, the young brothers getting money. We not listening to that bullshit. And we not listening to that bullshit. Stay in America. Stay in one place. Nigga, fuck out of here. Weak ass fuck, nigga.
And let me make this clear. No one's telling anybody to stay in America when it comes to our awakening in Black America. No one's saying that shit. I'm all for like doing business anywhere, everywhere. So shut the fuck up with that shit. What we are saying is the business that we could do in our immediate environment matters the most. And it should matter the most, idiot. You can't just sit here and work forever and not have something that generates money locally, okay? That's not how this shit works. And you can't just take the money you earn and then go build a business internationally without something national. That's like McDonald's starting in the UK and then spreading over to America. Fuck no, McDonald's had to start in America and then they spread across the world. Okay? So shut that shit up. No one's saying you have to be stuck in America. I've never felt that way. I've never thought that way. But if we're going to do business, let's do business first in our immediate environment and then we could go overseas, okay? And if anything, we should go overseas for the raw materials. If anything, like there's this guy called E Devious in a rap group called what's the name of their rap group? RSO, the almighty RSO in Boston. He used to sell leathers, like real nice leather jackets. Leathers is an old slang. People don't even wear leathers that way. But bottom line is, he was able to most likely crack into that market a long time ago because he's either half Dominican or full Dominican, and in the Dominican Republic, there's a long history of cattle farming. So he had access to the hides. And if anybody knows this guy, they know his work. I'm not going to bring it up on the screen. I don't feel like doing it. But a lot of the rappers in the late 90s wore his late 90s, early 2000s, that is. They would wear his leather jackets. They were real popular. You know what I'm saying? And he was able to do that because he had an international connection. Now, if you have that international connection, then I get it. You get the raw materials and then bring it over here to create the product. You get what I'm saying? Especially if the materials are within close range, like Dominican Republic is right across the water. If you go to Florida, it's not that far. But if you're talking about going over there, start a business and just starting it with no type of inside angle, that doesn't work out all the time. Let's be real about it. And I could really, what's so ironic is I could actually contact somebody who's tried to do that shit. At least 2 to 3 people I know who've tried to do that international shit. Like, I got one dude who's been over there since like the fucking late 90s, early 2000s in Africa doing shit, you know. But bottom line is, let's get back to it.
We not staying. We going all over the world. We all over the map. We all over the map. Now Austin a G because he just pulled up to Africa by himself, solo dolo. You see, when I pull up to Africa, I ain't been to so many countries, bro. I've been to Senegal, been to South Africa, I've been to Kenya, and I've been to Nigeria. But I always came with a homie of mine. I grew up on the Northeast, New York, so you know, over here, we got all type of nationalities. Like, I just grew up, my whole friend group, it was just different nations, bro, from the islands to the continent to in America. All my homies from all type of different cultures and nations. I was never limited. So due to the fact that I had so many homies from so many different cultures, whenever they went back home, I'll be like, yo, bro, I'm coming too, bro. Let me know when you're going out there, bro. I'm pulling up with you. I never really been a guy to travel alone. But I'm telling you this, bro, whenever I'm outside the country, in a black country, bro, that's the only time I feel like a man for real. I don't feel like a man in the United States, bro. I don't feel like a man, even though, like I said, I come from a family that got money, especially for United States standards. We got money. We got millions of dollars in property. We got hundreds of $1,000s in cars. But at the end of the day, we are still part of the bottom caste of society. We have.
Okay, and this is what really caught my attention. Man, listen here, man. That whole shit where you feel like, or you feel so paranoid that you don't feel free in America, that's something you have to overcome. I don't feel that way. Okay? I don't feel that way. Okay? I've never felt that way. Again, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and I never saw police officers in my immediate environment. I didn't see a police officer where I grew up until like 2003 or 2002. Like by the train station, that is. They weren't like in my neighborhood, like where I grew up. So he says he doesn't feel like a man. That's your own issue. And honestly, if you're suggesting like you don't feel like a man in America because of police brutality, because that's what you're hinting to, let's be honest. If you're talking about that in New York, let's be real. What you're really talking about is Caribbean on Caribbean violence, because a large percentage of the NYPD's black staff are Caribbean. Okay, so if you have a problem with police brutality in New York as a Caribbean, go speak to your Caribbean elders and have them speak to the Caribbean officers on the force who are brutalizing your people. That's something you have to go deal with. Okay, and I know this personally because I got at least 2 relatives who are on the force. Okay, and then one of the relatives that was on the force had an issue with a white officer. I'm not giving out any personal information, but they had an issue with a white officer, and then my cousin's father called somebody he knew in the force to speak to them to make sure that they don't try to flush him out. They want him to stay in there until retirement, of course. So if you have issues, go speak to them. And for all the Africans, go speak to the African NYPD officers, because there are so many of them motherfuckers in New York. Like one of them, I saw his name on his badge, and he was mistreating like a seemingly Black American homeless person. I don't know what the guy was, but he looked Black American. And the way he spoke, it sounded Black American. I asked the African, yo, man, why are you mistreating him? And he was like, what? And I was like, and then he knew what I meant. I said, are you mistreating him because you're African and he's Black American? And he just brushed me off. He was like, man, get out of here. And he started looking on his phone like they all do. All these NYPD officers do is surf the net all day and stand around. They don't do shit. But, no hate on the NYPD. Much respect. I respect authority, but y'all don't do shit. Y'all know that's why a lot of y'all are fat as fuck. But that's neither here nor there. But what I am saying is, if that is what this guy is suggesting, but he needs to speak to those officers in his community. Okay, and for any white officers or non-Black officers, have those Caribbean officers speak to them. Have one of them cross the blue line, okay, and stand up for your people, okay. So stop that old paranoia speech, because dog, I'll be real with you, especially based on what I told you where I grew up. The first time I had an encounter with the police was when I moved to California. That was my first time, and I was old by then. I was older. So what he speaks of, it doesn't register with me because that didn't exist in my New York when I grew up there. Okay. But for him in his New York, he needs to go speak to his elders and have them straighten that shit out. Okay.
I have no rights. So a fucking policeman can roll up on me in a motherfucking Benz and blow my head off and get off scot-free.
See, there we go. I knew that's what he meant. Hold on, let's rewind it so we get the full thing.
Different cultures and nations. I was never limited. So due to the fact that I had so many homies from so many different cultures, whenever they went back home, I'll be like, yo, bro, I'm coming too, bro. Let me know when you're going out there, bro. I'm pulling up with you. I never really been a guy to travel alone. But I'm telling you this, bro. Whenever I'm outside the country, in a black country, bro, that's the only time I feel like a man for real. I don't feel like a man in the United States, bro. I don't feel like a man, even though, like I said, I come from a family that got money, especially for United States standards. We got money. We got millions of dollars in property. We got hundreds of $1,000s in cars. But at the end of the day, we are still part of the bottom caste of society. We have no rights. So a fucking policeman can roll up on me in a motherfucking Benz and blow my head off and get off scot-free. I don't feel like a man in this country. I don't feel like a man. But when I go overseas, especially with this US dollar and this US passport, bro, I feel like a man. I instantly go from being on the bottom caste of society to the top caste of society. And since the majority of the country...
Okay, yeah, I gotta pause. That's why you feel like a man, nigga. It's because you have the dollar and the American passport, nigga. So here we go with that schizophrenia again, or that bipolar disorder. So you want to live here and you feel unsafe because one of your Caribbean officers may shoot you in the head, for you that is. But then you feel like a man because you have the U.S. passport and the U.S. dollar. You can't have your cake and eat it too, motherfucker. Okay? It's either or, nigga. Make up your fucking mind, nigga. Like, I'm not going to sit here and minimize police brutality. Okay, I told you my first experience was in California. I was a kid. And after that, I didn't have issues after that, except for like one or two instances. But for this dude, he's making it seem like motherfuckers walk out the door and can get shot at any moment. And that's what I notice when I speak to people overseas, especially like one of my relatives overseas and then people I've met online abroad. They make it seem like motherfuckers are under attack every day. That's not fucking true. You're not under attack every day, man. I could go out right now. I just came in like 4 hours ago. And I'm going to go out after this. And no, I don't feel under attack. That's that paranoia. But again, you want to feel like a man outside of the country, or you say you feel like a man outside of the country, but the reason you feel like a man outside of the country is because you have that U.S. passport and that U.S. dollar. But I put money on it. The local men there feel oppressed, just like you say you feel oppressed in America because they don't have that American dollar and that U.S. passport. So I say all I have to say is, like, especially if you factor in that point, everything is relative in this world. It's all based on your perception and your positioning. If you can understand, if that makes any sense to you, if you ever hear this, you feel like a man in their country, but I bet you they feel like less of a man in their own country. And you feel like a man there because you have a U.S. passport and U.S. money, and your family has millions of property. So that means, they own apartment buildings or single family homes they rent out, and they pull out equity to live off of. And then you bring your money over there that they pull equity off of, and you feel like a man. Man, shut the fuck up.
Is black, we don't got to deal with that. We don't got to deal with those racial politics that we deal with in the United States. And because I'm a foreigner, I'm a son of the diaspora. I don't get involved with the intertribal politics. I'm just a son of the diaspora coming back home. You know what I mean? So I don't get involved in that. It's all love. They show your boy big love wherever I touch down, bro. I don't got anything negative to say.
Okay, this shit. Let's deal with that for 2 hot seconds. He's saying, like, he doesn't have a problem overseas and all this other stuff. He feels like a man, and he's the son of the diaspora. Nothing's gonna happen to you. It's all kumbaya, my lord. But let's look at this, man, for 2 hot seconds, man. 2 hot seconds. Bear with me. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate your time. And I saw there was an uptick on my last video. That's why I'm doing another video review. But let's look at this, man. This happened in Burkina Faso. Okay, an American moved to Burkina Faso for a better life. Damn, I hate the Washington Post. They always charge. Let's see if we can find a free one. What's the the medium is oh no, that's not right. Here we go. Back to Africa. JT. Oh, this is JT the bigger figure. That's yeah. Damn shit. I cannot find an article except for the Washington Post. It's funny how only the Washington Post reported on this, and this is not the only example. Oh God, I can't find it. But bottom line, you see right here, an American moved to Burkina Faso for a better life. Let's see if we can get the title. Oh, move better life, shot dead outside. Let's refresh it so we get that last sentence. For outside military base. So this case happened in 2010, I think. Yeah, no. Was it 2020? Damn. Yeah, it was 2020. That's recent. That's very recent. So this guy went over to Burkina Faso, following behind this guy, JT the bigger figure right here. I believe was his connection to that place. And he was shot. And actually, I'm not, that shit's 51 minutes. I'm not going to watch that. But he was shot outside of a military base because he disobeyed orders. Now, this guy was on SSI, and now that, everything is digital, he most likely thought he could move to Africa, have ease of access to all of his money in his SSI fund, and live a good life. Okay. This is what they reported. This is like 3 years ago now, and I remember this shit. So, no, there's dangers everywhere, okay? And this is not to feed into your idea that I feel like I'm scared to go to Africa because of what I've been conditioned to think. No, these are reports. These are real stories. So don't act like there's never a chance of violence. Stop it. There are thugs everywhere. That's what if you come from the streets, you realize like you're not the only hard nigga out there. There's a nigga out there that could most likely beat your ass. So watch yourself, okay? And for everybody else, besides the young people, because the guy in Burkina Faso was young. He wasn't, I think he may have been 30 something max, maybe like 31, 32. He went over there. But for the older people, ex-Detroit activists. This is a story that came out in 2015. Ex-Detroit activist, 75, and her sister slain in Ghana. This is an old story now. And her name is Salters. I remember. There we go. I knew it. Jeanette Salters. I remember this story. So in this case, the lady was killed for her land, because they do lease agreements in Ghana. You can't own land. It's either you have to do it through a Ghanaian or you lease it from whoever owns it. I think it's a 90-year lease. But the bottom line is, don't act like violence can't happen in Africa. Violence can happen anywhere. That's my point. Okay. So, it can happen anywhere. Okay. So stop acting like in America, we could die at any moment. That's that paranoia. That's not true. And for you, for a dude who lives in suburbs, you really need to stop saying that shit. Chill out with that shit. You sound paranoid, homeboy. You may need to take your medication seriously. And if you have that white paste on the side of your mouth, wipe that shit off and go see your therapist, man. Okay, get some help, little buddy.
To say about any black country, period. Even back home in Haiti, bro. That's why I really feel like a man. That's why when these Tariq Nasheed fuck niggas be talking about go back to your country, nigga, what? You acting like that's an insult. When I'm back home in Haiti, I know y'all look on the news and be like, oh my God, the gang violence. That's in the capital, bro. I don't be up in the capital. I be on the north side. I be on the south side. I be in Cap, up north, and I be down south. I be in the south. So I don't be up in the capital. That's in the west coast of the country. I got uncles that's retired policemen. I got my father. My father's cool with politicians in the government. Bro, when I be up in the country, I be moving with the police, nigga. Police escort. That's something you're not going to get in the United States, bro. I'm not going to be able to get Nassau County Police Department to motherfucking give me the police.
Bingo! Nassau County. So this motherfucker is like I thought. He's from Long Island. And he's talking this shit. And that's why he said, you're around, there's no black America and white America. It's only America and you're in school with white people. It's because this motherfucker's in Nassau County. He's in Long Island. Okay, shut the fuck up, man, dog. And the only thing I will say for you, or because I like to be fair and balanced and it's not to contradict myself, I can't say Once you leave New York and you go to Long Island, you're going to another like state damn near. You know, there are rural areas in Long Island. You could get lost in on Long Island, and I don't think anything will happen to you necessarily, but you get lost in Long Island, okay? Watch yourself. And that's for any place you go to where you're not familiar with the area. That's any place. So that shit, dog. But to get back to him and he gets police escorts and his family has money and ain't no politicians. This is why I say he's the epitome of why ADOS and FBA was created. A little fucker like him will check off the black box and then take the affirmative action slot from a black American in America, no matter what class level, because at this point, you know, we have to ignore the class element, the class element when it comes to black Americans. We need to just come together on all class levels. So he will sit there and mark black, knowing that he has all the advantages of getting tutoring or going to a junior college to get some college courses and to look good. He has money to pay for extracurricular activities. And he has money to travel so he can look more, you know, fucking cultured and sophisticated on his application. But he'll mark black so you get those extra points. You little fucker. No, you should compete with the people on your level, which are non-black Americans. I don't care who they are. You go compete with them. You don't compete with us. Why compete with us? Your family didn't go through shit to earn that fucking advantage. You have advantages in your homeland. In fact, if your people stayed in their homeland, they would have achieved the same level of success that they achieved over here, allegedly, because I don't know if everything you say is true. You niggas lie a lot, always lying. I'm not even gonna, I got a story that popped in my head to where I just shut up when I heard him lying. I'm hanging out, just shut up. But that's another story. But here we go. He is the epitome of why we have to delineate. It's because you have fuckers like this sitting on their high horse, fucking sounding arrogant, egotistical as fuck. You've been on YouTube for a year just talking shit, and that's another reason I'm reviewing another one of your videos, because your shit has popped up here and there, and I just heard it through the grapevine or wherever, you know, if I go on Twitter and I just see somebody say, listen to this, just listen to this guy. I've heard your voice. Yeah, you're the epitome of why we have to delineate. Your ass does not deserve any of the advantages that should go to us, and especially if the advantages are that should be doled out to someone in our lower class of Black America. Those advantages should go to him or her, not you. But I put money on it. Your monkey ass out in Long Island applied to every school, and when you apply, you marked off black so you could get those extra points, so you can get that affirmative action slot. Or if you're employed today, you make sure to mark off black. So if they got a quota system in that corporation, you're guaranteed employment. When you shouldn't get that shit at all, nigga. You have every advantage, nigga. What the fuck are you doing here leeching? And if you do have this type of wealth back home, won't you take your ass back home and build something over there? And then you say you know all these people, you live in a diverse environment in New York, so you could build a bridge between Haiti's business class and America's business class. But no, you rather sit on the internet talking shit, going on trips like Austin Holloman for vacation cooch or sex tourism and shit. Because that's why you ask your homeboys to go to Africa, so they could probably hook you up with their little cousin that you met on fucking Facebook, or you're in your Telegram groups and y'all fucking do your little Telegram messaging and fucking WhatsApp shit. Little fucker.
Escort with the goddamn assault rifle protection. That ain't happening, bro. But when I touch down back home, I could do that. And I'll be up in a big mansion, and I got beautiful Black women serving me my food, cooking my food, and serving me the food. And my uncle hold me down, so let a nigga run up, try to try me, nigga. We got the F&M, we got the Kel-Tec shotgun, nigga. Try to run up, nigga. Try to run up, nigga.
You see how he sounds? That's that arrogance, dog. You talking about a Black woman serving you your food. Look here, what you're really saying is, I am of the upper class who was able to escape to America to live an easy life, and I come back home and I exploit the people who couldn't leave. The same people I exploited to leave America. That's what you're saying. These aren't women who are on your same class level. These are women who are below your class level. And that's why you think it's cool, most likely. It's not cool. You're taking advantage of someone who doesn't have a choice but to serve you, to make a living. Piece of shit.
You see, in New York, I don't feel like a man because you can't even have a gun in New York. I think it's like automatic 3 years in prison if you get caught with a gun. So I don't feel like a man in this country, bro. The black man can't really feel like a man. It doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't matter as a black.
Okay, let me tell you something. I'm not going to tell you what I have. I would never do that. But you can get a gun in New York, nigga. Just apply for it. All you got to do is apply for a gun, dog. I will admit New York is like, it's a strange fucking beast when it comes to a weapon. But honestly, as a person who grew up in the 80s and 90s here, I can't lie. I feel safer with these strict gun laws. A long time ago, man, there was so many fucking nigga, you could get shot back in the days, and it's not by a police officer necessarily, like he suggested. It's by maybe one of his people. Especially, oh yeah, when it came to the Caribbeans, you never know what the fuck they'll do. Them motherfuckers. Look here, a long time ago, if you heard a Yankee and a Ross clot and a Bumba clot in the same sentence, you need to leave the vicinity. Somebody's about to pop a cap in somebody's ass, okay? If you're a Yankee, Bumba clot, Ross clot, all together, oh man, oh shit. And it's at a high volume and a sharp pitch. My nigga, leave the area, okay? So with that in mind, yes, the gun laws are very strict, but it makes it safer, okay? In the first place, nigga, what are you, one of these skinny fat niggas? Because there's a lot of skinny fat niggas out here. And a lot of skinny niggas, like, you drank too much alcohol and you're all fucked up. Your biochemistry is all fucked up because you drink too much alcohol. Again, I'm not a teetotaler, okay? I'll sip something, okay? But you motherfuckers, we'll get into that in a second because you said something else is coming up. But yeah, but you can't handle yourself with your hands, nigga? The fuck are you scared of, okay? But again, I will say that, you know, New York gun laws are very strict, but it also depends on where you live. So for him, since he lives on Long Island, they have the same strict gun laws as a city. But if you go to Western New York or Northern New York, you can get a gun faster there than you can in the city area. That's just what it is, okay, for obvious reasons. But stop crying about that shit, okay? And if you feel that, if you feel that way, then take your ass out of New York. Okay, you could go, nigga. You go to Pennsylvania and go hunting all you want, own whatever gun you want. Okay,
Black man in the United States, we simply just have no power. We just have no power here, bro. We are a powerless group. It doesn't matter how much money you.
Okay, let me rewind it so I can really get the effect of this.
And my uncle hold me down, so let a nigga run up, try to try me, nigga. We got the F&M, we got the Kel-Tec shotgun, nigga. Try to run up, nigga. Try to run up, nigga. You see, in New York, I don't feel like a man because you can't even have a gun in New York. I think it's like automatic 3 years in prison if you get caught with a gun. So I don't feel like a man in this country, bro. The black man can't really feel like a man. It doesn't matter how much money you got. It doesn't matter. As a black man in the United States, we simply just have no power. We just have no power here, bro. We are a powerless group. It doesn't matter how much money you got. But when I'm back home, when I'm on the islands, bro, when I'm back on the island, bro, when I'm on the continent, bro, I feel like a man. I feel like a man. Even in the Dominican Republic as a Haitian, right? As a Haitian, I feel like a man there too. Not as much of a man as I feel in Haiti. Because keep in mind, at any given moment, the Dominican government could seize all our property. We never know with them boys. You know what I mean? We never know.
Okay, let's pause it, okay? That whole powerless shit, that's that paranoia that I spoke of earlier. We are not powerless. Power is a subjective term. It all depends on where you are. And you're not powerless to the point where motherfuckers can just kill you right on the spot, okay? And if they do it, there are consequences depending on your positioning in this country. Like, I'll be real with you. I don't agree with this shit, but one of the ways they've been able to minimize killing Black American men is by bringing up their criminal background, okay? So with that in mind, sometimes with those guys, yeah, you kind of like, you're at a disadvantage if somebody harms you, okay? It's because you have a record, and that's no excuse to hurt anyone. But power is a subjective term. We do have power. It all depends on how you position yourself and you strategize your power. Okay, no one's walking around here like at any moment somebody could hurt me, you know? It all depends on your positioning and the circumstances. Okay, so that shit is bullshit. Like let me give you an example to make it clearer, because I don't want to sound like a coon at all. Even though I do believe every black person in America has a touch of coon juice in them. I don't give. Minister Farrakhan has a touch of coon juice in him. Okay, shit, all of us. Okay. So I don't give a fuck, but I'm going to say this. We're not powerless. It all depends on your positioning and how you approach things. And I'm going to use these two stories as an example. Philando Castile, let's use him as the first example. Philando Castile was right in the way he tried to approach the officer with how, to inform him on his right to bear arms. That was his right. He did the right thing. But Philando was naive, God rest his soul, or he seemed to be naive. I don't know. I never met him. I didn't know the man, but he wasn't supposed to alert the officer to his gun, even though he has a right to own it. Okay. He didn't position himself correctly, and that's what led to his death, unfortunately. He wasn't supposed to alert him that way, and I'm going to give you another example to make sure I'm not coonified. Master P got caught in a part of Los Angeles, which is ritzy. It's like a very ritzy area, okay? He got pulled over, and they found a gun. Master P didn't alert the police to the gun. Why? Because Master P understands how this shit works. So once they exited the car and found the gun, that's when Master P said, here's my paperwork. I have a right to own this gun. I have a right to, have it in my car. And then they let Master P go. Like, I don't want to speak ill of Philando Castile because he did the right thing, but he didn't position himself to leave that situation unharmed. Okay. And it's sad that we have to live this way, but shit, life is full of trade-offs. Sometimes it's about compromises. You know what I'm saying? You got your wins, you have your losses. What other cliche expression can I use for you to understand you have to position yourself correctly? Okay. So if Philando Castile wanted to alert the officer to his gun, he should have said, would you like me to step out of the car, officer? And bam. Or he could have just left it alone and just said, no, we don't have a gun. And then the officer could have said, I need you to step out of the car. They would have found a gun, bam, shown paperwork. He would have gone on his way. Okay, so stop that with powerless shit. That's bullshit. I remember Armstrong Williams was on Sharp Talk. Let me see if I can find that clip. Let me see, Armstrong. He was on Al Sharpton's show called Sharp Talk. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Nah, I can't find it. Can't find it that quick. Let me see if I can find it if I say Al Sharpton. No, I can't find it. Damn. Oh. No, can't find it. I'm not going to search for it. But bottom line is, Armstrong Williams was on Shark Talk. And this was years ago. And Armstrong Williams was asked by Al Sharpton if he's ever experienced racism. And Armstrong Williams said no. And I was with my girl at that time. She's like, "Damn, he's a coon, or he's a Uncle Tom." And I was like, "Yeah, he kind of is, but you have to understand his background." I knew where Armstrong Williams is from. He's like from either North Carolina or South Carolina. And in those areas, there are certain black people who have been so like insulated from white people and the terror they may have experienced so many years ago, like that they have their own little ecosystem to remove the fear of racism. So for this little nigga right here, whatever his name, Dessalines guy, if you want to, experience a life where you don't have a problem with white folk, then go move down south. There are areas down south where, you don't feel racism. it's ironic. It's like really odd. And it's, and it's now coming to light because a lot of people are really coming to the understanding, like you feel more racism in the Northeast and on the West Coast than you feel in some areas in the South, because these people have their own little enclave. Okay. So that whole talk of, you can't escape racism and you're always under threat, man, shut the fuck up, man.
But even in the DR, I feel like a man, bro. And when I'm out the country, I feel like a man. When I got my money in my pocket, my U.S. passport, the U.S. dollar, bro, you can't tell me shit. That's why I be telling my brothers, man, don't listen to these dumbass niggas, these Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black ass niggas. Don't listen to them, bro. Don't listen to them. Because I'm telling you, you're going to miss out on some beautiful experiences. I'm telling you, bro. See, the young guys like myself, Austin Holloman, in our 20s, we can't afford to listen to guys like Tariq Nasheed and Jason Black that tell us to, don't leave the country, don't connect all over the globe internationally. You have to understand their time is done. These guys are 50 plus years old. Their time is done. It's time for them to retire to Jersey. The young brothers like myself, our time is just beginning. We are just starting to step into the spotlight. These dudes about to step into the nursing home. So why are you listening to whatever they got to say? Get out of here with that, man. But yeah, man, before we get out of here, I want to examine some of these tweets by Austin Holloman. He said this. Take a look.
That is funny, dog. That is funny. Hold on. I gotta laugh.
On the screen. America destroys your mind. It's day one in Africa. And being a Black American, you have to untrain yourself from having your eyebrow raised at your own people. I'm going to spend a lot of time here on this continent. I haven't met one person with ill intent yet. And big up to Austin, because like I said, bro, the young dudes, we ain't listening to none of that BS that Tariq Nasheed talking about. See, Austin Holloman, he sees them as his own people. He says your eyebrow raised at your own people. That's how you know. The young brothers, we not listening to Tariq Nasheed, bro. We not listening to him. That's for them old head niggas that got to schedule their colonoscopy. We not listening to them boys. Yo, we young, we vibrant, we getting money. Our arteries unclogged. Our kidneys are working. We young, we vibrant. We got the activity of our limbs. Everything is lovely. Everything.
Yo, this nigga's funny, though. I'm an OG. I get my checkups, nigga. You're fucking right. We gotta get checkups. But watch yourself, you little nigga. You little niggas ain't out here living your best life like Lil Duval, nigga. Wow, look at this. Why you talking about your colonoscopy and shit like that? Look at this. Check this shit out, nigga. Check this shit out, you smart little fucker. Yeah, you a funny nigga, dog. You are really funny. Hold on, you little fucker. Check this out. While you're sitting up here talking about niggas have to schedule their colonoscopy and all that shit. Check this out. Cholesterol cancer, what millennials and Gen Zers need to know. What is that? Yale medicine doctors warn that people as young as 20 need to be aware of the warning signs. Nobody in their 20s, 30s, and 40s gets cholesterol cancer, right? Wrong. The truth is that cholesterol cancer is on the rise in young adults and has been for years. Motherfucker, if you don't shut the fuck up, you better schedule your colonoscopy, nigga. And look at this. Why is there an uptick? Nobody knows for sure why cholesterol cancer numbers are rising in young people. Sedentary lifestyle, overweight, and obesity, smoking, heavy alcohol use, you little fucker. And I heard your little rap song at the end of this shit. You talk about smoking gelatos and drinking, low fiber. You niggas don't fucking eat fruit and vegetables and shit. High fat diets or diets high in processed meat. You niggas fucking sit up here eating fucking beef patty and cocoa bread all the fucking time and your slices of pepperoni pizza. What else? Or other environmental factors have all been associated with the disease. Family history of cholesterol cancer or polyps and conditions such as inflammatory bowel disease are also risk factors. So shut your little monkey ass up, making fun of us old niggas because we gotta go get the finger up the ass and get checked out. And no, I'm not gonna say pause or no homo, nigga. It's a reality. Deal with it. My nigga, shut your ass up. And let's go here too. Since you want to be a smart ass, let's go here too. Talking about we're old and we're about to check out and shit, nigga. Nigga, please, with your old Pascal Cavassier growing up on ass, nigga. Oh, motherfucker, please, smart ass. Yeah, you touched the nerve. You're a funny motherfucker, though. Okay, this is this guy called King Shooter. Died at 27. You see it highlighted, right? Died at 27. He's from New York. He's a friend of the rapper Dave East out of Queens and Harlem, I think. He died at 27. Let's check this out. Okay, let's see. Daniels, who is King Shooter, himself said the cause of his liver problem was due to heavy or excessive consumption of Hennessy. You Pastor Cavassier growing up with niggas, let me tell you something, man. While you sitting up here talking about niggas are old and washed, nigga, I'm going to say something that, I'm going to say right now. I'm kind of glad I didn't spend like my younger years getting drunk every day or even every weekend. I ain't drink like that, okay? I haven't had a drink. I'm looking at my calendar right now. It's past 3 weeks. Shit. I could go for a whole month without drinking. I could go years. I've gone years without drinking. So for all you little fuckers like you, because I know you probably drink, you sound like it. And the way you speak and the way you sound like you smoke a lot of fucking weed too. You already said it. You smoke gelatos in your song. Let me tell you something, nigga. It's not about your years. It's about wear and tear. What the fuck are you doing besides maybe going to the juice bar, to drink the juices? Okay. What else are you doing to ensure that you have longevity? So shut that shit the fuck up. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Tariq may have gout, but I ain't got gout, nigga. And I know these niggas you're talking about. Okay. I know these niggas you're talking about. They are fucking old as fuck and they fucking look sick. But let's look at the niggas in your generation. This nigga was young, dog. This is King Shooter. And he actually represents the New York niggas I was talking about, like the skinny niggas. The skinny niggas. Like super skinny niggas. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. You know what I'm saying? And let's not get on people who are dying from fentanyl in your generation. You motherfuckers are dying at a high rate from fucking sniffing and doing shit. Because I'm not gonna speak ill of the dead. I didn't know this young man. I don't know if he did hardcore drugs, okay? But a lot of people in your generation do hardcore drugs. That's why they have this skinny look, like they made these clothes specifically for you guys. Okay, because you're super skinny or you're skinny fat. Okay, first you start out skinny fat, you get a little pudge belly. You know what I'm saying? You're not fat because you don't have fat everywhere, but you just got that pudge or whatever. You know what I'm saying? No muscle density, but you're real skinny. So shut that shit the fuck up, smart little. But you a funny motherfucker though. That was funny though. Okay, and that's not speak ill of King Shooter or anything. I only use him as an example because he's from New York and he's young and he died at 27. I remember when it happened and I was like, wow. I only heard like 2 or 3 songs, but I was like, wow, damn, these little niggas are dying like left and right. Like Mac Miller died. Who else? I think Lil Peep, did he die? I don't know. Lil Peep. One of these little motherfuckers. Let's see. Yeah, Lil Peep, 2017. That motherfucker was only 21 years old. So all this shit you talk about how we're old and, we're gone, nigga, please. It all depends on how you treat your body and shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to you and finish this off because I've already gone too long. And if you survived this shit, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate your time, And shout out to my man Somali against Pan-Africanism. You alerted me to this guy because I heard his voice in the past, but I didn't know who the fuck he was. But now that I know who he was and I saw this shit, I was like, I said to myself, this works perfectly for why I said I wanted to do a video on how the manosphere would morph into Pan-African Babel. I knew it would go this route, but let's finish this motherfucker. But this motherfucker, let's rewind because I'm on another live. This nigga funny. Hold on.
America destroys your mind. It's day one in Africa. And being a Black American, you have to untrain yourself from having your eyebrow raised at your own people. I'm going to spend a lot of time here on this continent. I haven't met.
And I want to pause this real quick. I know, excuse me. We need to check this nigga Austin Holloman's paperwork. Okay, I hate to sound like the Gestapo out this motherfucker, but these niggas need to. If niggas get a fucking public platform, they need to state their background. What's the harm in that? We knew Martin's background, we knew Malcolm's background, we knew Marcus Garvey's background, we knew fucking Du Bois's background. We knew fucking everybody's background. Adam Clayton Powell. We know their background. So why can't we know their background today? I know why. It's because some of these motherfuckers have questionable backgrounds. Austin Holloman may be a fucking Caribbean himself. Shit, I got family who on my father's side who's been in Texas forever. And I put money on it. I haven't met their children, but I bet you if I met their children, like if I met their children without a formal introduction, or if I met them in the street, I wouldn't know they were Panamanian. I put money on it. I wouldn't know. Okay. So somebody needs to know who this motherfucker is, because America destroys your mind. Shut the fuck up.
Met one person with ill intent yet. And big up to Austin, because like I said, bro, the young dudes, we ain't listening to none of that BS that Tarina Shee talking about. See, Austin Holloman, he sees them as his own people. He says your eyebrow raised at your own people. That's how you know. The young brothers, we're not listening to Tarina Shee, bro. We're not listening to him. That's for them old head niggas that got to schedule their colonoscopy. We're not listening to them boys. Yo, we young, we vibrant, we getting money. Our arteries aren't clogged. Our kidneys are working. We young, we vibrant. We got the activity of our limbs. Everything is lovely. Everything is beautiful. And one thing I always...
I'm sorry, man. This thing is funny.
Always say, brothers, it's so many beautiful black women across the world, bro. It's just so many that you wouldn't even like. I'm telling you, it's a never-ending supply of beautiful black women on every continent on the planet, man. On every corner of the globe, everywhere. You would be a fool to limit yourself to one location. You would be a fool. Not only that, forget the women. Forget the women. If you're a young brother getting money, if you're a young brother trying to do business, get rich. Man, you got to have an international mindset, bro. You got to. And that doesn't mean you got to abandon the United States, because I'm never going to abandon the United States for the simple fact that I know my sisters, they don't have the same mindset as me. My sisters, they enjoy the United States. You know, they don't want to branch out. Like, my sisters are comfortable here. So I'm always going to have family here. I'm always going to have property here. I'm always going to have business operations here. So when I say travel internationally, spread your wings, I'm not saying you got to abandon America, abandon the United States, because I'm never going to do that. My folks have established way too much over here for me to just let it go. Hell no.
There we go. So he wants you to spread your wings and fly away into Pan-African fantasy land, but he'll never leave. That is what I am talking about. It is about this double tongue, like this fucking two-facedness, where you want me to give up what you will never give up. What kind of sense does that fucking make? Seriously. And you already heard my comments on doing business abroad. I'm all for that. But one thing I would like to add on is, what makes you think you could go to these countries and supplant the locals in business affairs? You'll have to have some connections on the ground. So that takes time to build up. So if you're going to do that, do it the right way. Don't just go over there like the guy in Burkina Faso with an SSI check thinking you're going to live the good life. Okay? It's just not happening. You're better off fucking taking your money, going up to some rural area in your local city center. I mean, a rural area that's around your local city center, and fucking opening up like a pool hall over there, nigga. You'll make more money doing that shit than taking your money over there to fuck off on some fantasy shit. Okay? You know, open a sports bar. Okay? Open something that gathers some type of immediate cash every day. Okay, but this idea that you're gonna go to Africa and just open up a business with no problem is a fantasy. And I say this because I was in communication with girls over there trying to see if I could open up a laundromat. This one bitch eventually just pulled out, like, nah, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Nah. She was like, nah, I'm not gonna get into the specifics of the fucking of the deal, but dog, you can't just go over there without some type of groundwork or some type of foundation laid before you get there.
Got a stake here. Listen, we getting money here, my nigga. We generated profit over here. So what I'm saying is, expand the operations. I'm not saying abandon what you got going over here, but expand the operations. Like when a business expands the operations, yeah, they go overseas, they start planting their flag in different locations. That's what I tell my brothers to do, man. Don't listen to these old head, gray hair niggas who their time is done. Their time is over. They didn't accomplish shit. They didn't build shit. The only thing they built was the YouTube channel, and that's it. But if you're a forward-thinking brother like myself, you got big dreams, you got big aspirations, you want to do big things, you got to have an international mindset, bro. The world is yours. The world is yours, black man. I'm telling you.
I will agree with you if you ever hear this. Yes, you have to think internationally, but you have to do it the right way. It's not simple, okay? Like if you're talking about just manufacturing, like finding places online, yeah, that's easy, okay? It's not, you don't have to go to Alibaba anymore and just hope that you get your shit, okay? There are ways to get shit manufactured now overseas. I got you. Do your thing. So I want to stress that point because I'm not one of those motherfuckers who lives in some type of, box and can't think for himself and understand like this is a global economy. The only thing I say, like I said before, you should start in your immediate environment. Okay. That's common. That's business 101. Okay.
You're going to feel like a man outside the country. I feel like a man when I'm outside the country. When I'm in the country, I don't feel like a man, bro. I don't feel like a man. I'm always going to feel like a boy in this country because we don't got no power. We don't got no economic power, no political power, no unity, no cohesion. It ain't shit popping over here, my nigga.
Okay, let me pause that. Damn, because oh God, I should just let him finish so I could say everything at the end because oh God, I got 3 minutes left of this nigga. Yes, you do have power if you fucking work towards it. Don't get mad at us because you couldn't buy any of the buildings in Brooklyn and take over East Flatbush and Canarsie. That's y'all's problem. That's some shit that you were delinquent or you suffered a dereliction of duty. That's a better way to phrase it. You suffered a dereliction of duty. Your parents and grandparents decided to rent out that fucking hall to hold their bashments instead of fucking saving up to buy that fucking hall or working out agreement to lease to own on some shit. That's your parents' fault. Okay, I was just talking to a distant relative today through Facebook, and I asked him, did he buy any business properties in his old neighborhood? Of course, I knew he would say no. You know what I'm saying? So don't, man, shut that shit up, man.
Collectively ain't shit popping. It's just a bunch of every man for himself over here, bro. Every man for himself. And as it's going right now, I don't see any unity ever going to be established. So anyways, bro, like I said, man, if you want to feel like a man, you're going to have to get outside the country, bro. You're going to have to get outside the country. Like I said.
Again, you feel like a man because you have that U.S. passport and that U.S. dollar, and you also go back home and exploit your people. Or you most likely go to any black nation and exploit the lower class. Take y'all, like if you're in fucking South Africa, you say you went to South Africa. Instead of your ass taking your little your monkey ass to a certain area where there's like the everyday South African, take your ass to Sandton. I think it's spelled Sandton. Go there and just try to floss and all that shit. Stay there. Okay, go over there and try to high profile. Okay. Let's see if those women will fucking serve you your food, motherfucker, instead of going to some township where they're doing that because they have to. Okay? You piece of shit.
In New York, where I'm at, I can't even have a gun in New York, bro. I can't even have a gun. When I'm outside the country, when I'm in my home country, when I'm back in Haiti, nigga, big straps, nigga, big strap. Let a nigga run up in the mansion, nigga, bang, nigga. Fuck out of here, bitch. And like I said, my family connected with the police and the government, so nigga can't tell me shit when I'm back home. So when these dudes tell me go back to my home country, that ain't no insult, bro. I move like a prince in my home country, bro. Can't tell me shit. But yeah, man, big up to Austin, bro. Big up to Austin. I mean, we've been telling them that. We've been telling them, bro, why you not going to Africa? How you over in Thailand? You over here, bro. Go to Africa, man. Somewhere where you could really feel like a man, bro. Somewhere you could really feel like a man. Now, if you're a bum ass dude in America, you're not gonna feel like a man in Africa. You're just gonna be a bum in Africa. But if you're a brother that's already doing your thing in America or wherever you at, trust me, internationally, especially with that US passport and that US dollar in your pocket, you're gonna feel like 10 times the man that you are. And you're gonna be among your folks. You're gonna be among your own people. And they're gonna be showing you love, bro. They're gonna be showing you love. Forget everything you heard that Tariq Nasheed said. That shit is not true, bro. It's big love. It's big love, unity, and camaraderie wherever I touch down, wherever I go. And that's something I'm already accustomed to growing up in the Northeast with various different cultures. I'm never out of my element because I grew up in a melting pot of black cultures in the Northeast. You already know how it is up in New York. So yeah, man, big up to Austin. Big up to Pan-Africanism Strikes Back. Go check out Pan-Africanism.
And that is exactly why he said there's no cohesion and there's every man for himself. It's because of that diversity. Now, I can admit that there's some like the Black American community is fractured, right? But let me use this example to make you understand how that's not true for every Black American community. Let's look at hip hop. It took the West Coast to really make hip hop economically viable for a majority of the artists. Why is that? It's because they got on code. They got on code so strong that the Bloods and Crips were able to come together to make Death Row Records. Okay, so when you talk about this every man for himself, that's really a New York thing, and I really believe it has to do with the many different types of Black in New York. And like there was an interview that I had a long time ago with a reverend. I'm not going to find the clip. Maybe I'll play it in the future, of this reverend in Boston who said there can never be a Black mayor of Boston because all of the Caribbeans will fight over which island the guy comes from or the candidate comes from. So a lot of that shit, that what he's talking about is really his people, because there's no way that if they were on code in New York with all these diverse or with this diverse population of Black people, that rappers from New York shouldn't have gotten paid from the beginning. There should have been no complaints. But no, it took the Black Americans in California who were on code with each other to finally crack the code. Okay, there's no, like, it's not a coincidence that MC Hammer became the highest paid, or he became the first highest paid rapper. I mean, Curtis Blow got $1 million deal. Okay. I think Rakim got $1 million deal. Run DMC definitely made money. But if you're talking about stadium tours, fucking like double digit millions, a deca millionaire, it was Hammer. That's not a coincidence. It's because they got on code. And I was out there when that happened as a young kid. And yeah, it was amazing to see. Like, I got there, you saw niggas on the street, and then suddenly niggas disappeared off the street. That's because Hammer gave them a job and shit. But yeah, man, yo, man, shut that shit up, man.
Forgetism Strikes Back. Go check out his breakdown, his reaction, his commentary on the Austin Holloman video, the full commentary. I think it was an awesome breakdown. I think he touched on a lot of important points. Go check it out, man. But yeah, it's your boy Neferkari Dessalines back in the building. Yes, indeed. Like, share, subscribe, Cashapp in the description. And I'm gone. Peace.
Okay, that's it, man. But I do want to touch on one more thing. This motherfucker talks about being from Haiti and all this other stuff. This is another key part of this shit that I may do a video on in the future, but this is something we have to deal with. He talks about, having members in the police squad and all this other stuff, and his father knows politicians, and well, guess what? He may be just like Praz. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Who knows with these shifty motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? And and you can read the title. We're all literate here. Praz testifies during federal conspiracy trial, named self as unofficial FBI informant. Okay, so it's like that's another element that we have to really look at. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking up this video of this one YouTuber who said something a long time ago. I tried to find it like one time, but I couldn't find it. Let me see if I can find it. Nah, I can't find it. I'm not going to look for it. I'm not going to say who it is just in case I do find it and this nigga takes it down. But I'm going to find it. But this YouTuber admitted to being in the military in his Caribbean home country, and he was trained by the U.S. military. The U.S. military used to run missions and teach him their tactics. And that's not rare. That's not rare at all. Okay, that happens. Okay. Okay, let's see what Praz is doing here. Praz Michel opted to testify in his federal conspiracy trial on Tuesday, April 18th. The Fugees rapper 50 revealed he made the decision after consulting with his attorneys in the universe, per Mother Jones reporter Dan Friedman on Twitter. During his testimony, Michelle admitted that he served as an informal FBI informant for the U.S., according to Rolling Stone, during China's attempt to extradite dissident Chinese billionaire Guang Wengui with the help of Malaysian financier John Low, who is currently a fugitive. Okay. He added that he voluntarily met the FBI agents on several occasions to discuss Guo and 3 Americans whom were being held hostage in China. This is not a surprise to me. Okay, this is old news. And again, I could do a whole video on this shit about, back in the days, niggas felt like these motherfucking Caribbean drug dealers are like, they're a little more crafty than usual. These motherfuckers were maybe CIA trained, nigga. That's just what it was and what it is. They used to always say, like, these niggas, because we have smart drug dealers. I mean, I'm not going to give these motherfuckers too much credit, but our criminals are smart, okay? They're not all dumb. But there was always this feeling like, nah, these niggas are a different kind of smart. They have an advantage, an undue advantage. Like, what's going on here? This is different. I'm used to the mob and fucking Hispanics. These niggas are craftier. How did this nigga know I was here? Like, goddamn. It can't be a lookout boy. Like, well, how does this nigga know? It's because these niggas had fucking connections to the government, most likely. And that's just what it is. But I'm done here. Again, the title of this video is Paranoia Check. Stop being paranoid, little nigga. And if you want to do business with your Black American brothers and build something. Stop leeching with your wannabe millionaire ass. Just sit up here leeching, bragging and leeching, going across the globe exploiting young girls who have to serve you food to live. Talking about, you don't feel like a man. You don't feel like a man because you wasn't raised to be a man. You were raised to be a fucking coward, a fleeing ass coward. Motherfucker. And I'm done, man. This little motherfucker. Like, comment, share, subscribe. One love.